Some of you walked in here today carrying worry like a weight on your chest. But hear me when I say this. God is about to open doors you didn't even knock on. Doors you thought were closed. Doors you didn't believe you deserved. God told me to tell you, stop worrying. I'm already ahead of you, making the crooked places straight. You're not waiting on the blessing anymore. The blessing is waiting on you. Family, I need your attention today because God dropped a word in my spirit. And this word is not for everybody. It's for the one who's been fighting silent battles, the one who's been doubting their next step, the one who's been praying, Lord, when will things change? God says, I will open doors for you. Stop worrying. You've cried long enough. You've stressed long enough. You've been stuck long enough. Today, I came with an announcement. Your season of locked doors is over. God is shifting things in your favor. He's aligning people, opportunities, and moments that will carry your name. So stand tall, breathe again, because what's coming is greater than what you lost. When God opens a door, it is not like the doors people open. People open doors based on moods, based on opinions, based on what they think you deserve. People open doors for you one day and close them the next, but when God opens a door, it comes with a divine guarantee stamped in heaven. It is a door that no human hand, no evil force, no mistake from your past, and no insecurity from your present can close. And many of us spend our lives chasing the approval of people, begging for opportunities, knocking on doors that were never meant for us, wearing ourselves out, trying to convince someone to let us in. But the moment God decides it is your time, the moment heaven announces your name, the moment purpose aligns with destiny, the door will swing open so wide that even your enemies will have to stand back in shock. God does not ask for permission. God does not need someone's recommendation. God does not rely on systems, politics, or connections. When he opens a door, it bypasses every limitation, every boundary, every rule that tried to restrict you. And this is the part that shakes you. Sometimes God opens the door in seasons where you feel the least qualified. He does it intentionally. So you know it was never you, it was him. Because if you felt qualified, you would give yourself the credit. If the timing made sense, you would call it luck. But when God brings you to a door you didn't expect, you're forced to acknowledge that grace got you there, favor got you there, his hand got you there. And it's important to understand that God opened doors are not always comfortable. Some of them challenge you. Some of them stretch you. Some of them reveal weaknesses you've been hiding. But God opens doors not because you are ready, but because he is ready to elevate you. He is ready to shift you. He is ready to show you that the place you've been living in is too small for the future he has prepared. You've been surviving in a space meant only for your past season. And a God-opened door is not just about opportunity, it is about movement. It is about transition. It is about being pulled from where you used to be into who you're becoming. That's why some of you feel uncomfortable right now. That's why some things that used to satisfy you don't satisfy you anymore. God is pushing you toward a door you haven't seen yet. And sometimes he blinds you until you reach it, so you learn to walk by faith and not by sight. What God opens for you will confuse people. They will not understand how you got in. They will not understand why your name was chosen. They will not understand how you reached a level that seemed unreachable. But it is not their job to understand. It is their job to witness what God does with someone who kept trusting, kept praying, kept believing, even when life felt like it was standing still. There are doors that look closed to you right now, doors you have cried over, doors you tried to force open, doors you thought were the only path to your future. But God is not bound to that door. He says, if that one is closed, I have another one. If they rejected you, I will send someone who will celebrate you. If they shut you out, I will create a room with your name on it. God-opened doors are not always loud. They don't always come with signs and confirmations. Sometimes they show up quietly, suddenly, unexpectedly. One conversation, one email, one encounter, one shift, and everything changes. You can spend years trying to open a door, and God can open it in one moment. But here is the truth many people struggle with. God rarely opens a door until you release the one you're clinging to. He cannot give you new access while you're still grieving old opportunities. He cannot elevate you while you're still tied to what you lost. Sometimes the door is not opening yet because your hands are too full. But once you let go of what was, once you stop trying to drag dead seasons into new chapters, God will open the door that was reserved specifically for you. And the door He opens will not look like the doors you have known, because His doors come with peace. His doors come with alignment. His doors come with clarity. His doors come with a sense of, I was meant to be here. You won't have to compromise your character to walk through it. You won't have to shrink yourself to fit in. You won't have to pretend to be someone else. When God opens the door, you will walk through as your true self, healed, growing, learning, becoming, rising. And those who underestimated you will have to watch you step into what they never believed you could achieve. God specializes in proving people wrong. He specializes in raising up the overlooked. He specializes in opening doors for those who were counted out, dismissed, ignored, and doubted. And the moment He opens that door for you, you will realize the struggle, the waiting, the disappointment, the closed doors, all of it was preparation. God wasn't denying you, He was aligning you. And now, when the door opens, you will be ready in a way you never were before. This door won't just change your situation, it will change you. And no one, absolutely no one, will be able to shut what God has opened for your life. Worry is one of the greatest thieves of destiny. It sneaks in quietly, disguising itself as responsibility, disguising itself as caution, disguising itself as preparation, until you start believing that worrying is somehow helping you. But worry does not prepare you, it paralyzes you. Worry does not protect you, it weakens you. Worry drains the strength you need for the doors God is getting ready to open. And some of you don't even realize how much energy is leaking out of your spirit every day because of the battles you're fighting in your mind. You wake up tired even after sleeping. You lose focus even when nothing is distracting you. You feel heavy even when life seems calm. It's not that life is too much to handle. It's that worry has become your constant companion. It whispers lies. It tells you, what if it doesn't work? It tells you, what if they leave? It tells you, what if you fail? And every what if steals a little more of who you are. Worry makes you double guess decisions God already confirmed. Worry makes you replay conversations that do not matter anymore. Worry makes you attach pain to moments that haven't even happened. And while you're busy imagining every possible disaster, you're draining the strength you need for the miracle God is preparing. Worry is a weight, and the enemy knows if he can't block your blessing, he will try to exhaust you before you reach it. Because a tired spirit hesitates. A tired spirit doubts. A tired spirit sees an open door but doesn't have the courage to walk through it. That's why worry is so dangerous. Not because it changes your future, but because it wears you down in the present until you can't receive what God promised. God never created you to carry weights He never assigned. You were not built to carry tomorrow on your back. You were not designed to carry fear, anxiety, stress, or panic. That's why it feels so heavy. You're carrying what does not belong to you. And the more you carry it, the weaker you feel. Some of you are spiritually exhausted, not because you're doing too much, but because you are thinking too much. Overthinking is stealing the strength that could have been used to praise, to build, to grow, to move, to trust. Every time you worry, you're giving a piece of your strength to something imaginary. Every time you replay the worst scenario, you're empowering something that has not even happened. And God is saying, stop giving your strength to shadows. Worry magnifies the problem and shrinks your faith. It blinds you to the reality that God has already gone before you. You're standing here stressing about things God has already handled. You're losing sleep over doors God already opened. You're battling storms that God already calmed. Worry tricks you into believing you are alone, that there is no help coming, that everything depends on you, but God never asked you to fix everything. He asked you to trust Him with everything. Worry is the opposite of trust. When trust grows, worry weakens. But when worry grows, trust suffocates. And some of you have been suffocating in silence because you're trying to carry what God wants you to release. You can't walk into a new season with the same fear you had in the last one. You can't reach the next level while dragging the weight of every possibility that could go wrong. Worry keeps you living in a future full of fear instead of a present full of favor. It keeps you stuck in imaginations instead of movement. It keeps your heart racing and your peace shrinking. But hear this, worry is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a sign that you've been trying to handle more than you were created to handle. It's a sign that somewhere along the journey, you started believing you were responsible for everything. You're not. God never said, worry and I'll work. He said, cast your cares. He said, be still and know. He said, I am with you. He said, I will fight for you. But you cannot fight and trust at the same time. You cannot panic and praise at the same time. You cannot walk by faith if your feet are tied by fear. Worry drains the spiritual strength needed to move forward. And that is why the enemy uses it, not to destroy you, but to distract you long enough that you miss what God is doing. You're worried about situations that will not matter a year from now. You're worried about people God is removing for your good. You're worried about opportunities that weren't meant for you because better ones are coming. There is a peace God wants to give you, but worry keeps blocking the door. There is clarity God wants to pour into you, but worry keeps making noise. There is strength God wants to renew in you, but worry keeps draining it before it arrives. You can't keep giving your energy to things that don't carry eternal value. You need that strength. You need that courage. You need that focus. You need that faith. Because when God opens a door, not if, but when, you cannot step into it weak, weary, and weighed down. You must step in bold. You must step in clear. You must step in ready. That is why God is telling you to stop worrying. Not because he doesn't care about your fears, but because he knows worry is robbing you of the strength required for your next chapter. Worry cannot coexist with what God is about to do. And once you release it, once you breathe again, once you trust again, you will discover that the strength you thought you lost was simply buried under the weight of worry. And as God lifts that weight, you will rise. There are moments in life when a door closes so suddenly, so sharply, so painfully that it shakes you to your core. You stand there staring at what used to be open, questioning what went wrong, asking yourself why it happened, wondering if you failed, if you missed the sign, if you weren't good enough. Closed doors make you feel small. Closed doors make you feel forgotten. Closed doors make you feel like everyone else is moving while you're stuck in the same place. But what many people don't understand is that when God closes a door, it is not rejection, it is redirection. It is heaven guiding you away from what would have harmed you toward what will heal you. It is protection in disguise. Some doors close not because you did anything wrong, but because God saw something you couldn't see. He saw a trap behind that opportunity. He saw heartbreak behind that relationship. He saw delayed destiny behind that job. He saw the hidden danger behind what you were praying for. And because he loves you too much to let you walk into something that would diminish you, he closes it. But we misunderstand the closing. We take it personally. We call it failure. We replay the moment over and over. Again, trying to figure out what we could have done differently. But you cannot keep trying to resurrect doors that God himself intentionally sealed shut. Closed doors are divine messages written in silence. They say, this path is not yours. They say, this place is too small for the future I put inside you. They say, this is not where your blessing lives. But because we are so emotionally attached to what we wanted, we treat every closed door like a punishment. We don't see that God is lifting us away from danger. We don't see that God is protecting our purpose. We don't see that God is shifting us toward rooms we never imagined. We only see the loss. We see the ending. We see the disappointment. We see everything except the bigger picture God is orchestrating. There are moments when God closes a door because you've outgrown the room behind it. You've matured past the environment, the friendships, the patterns, the thinking that used to fit your old season. And when you grow, God has to close the doors that keep you tied to who you used to be. You can't carry old habits into new blessings. You can't take old versions of yourself into new levels. You can't step into a future while clinging to a past that no longer nurtures you. So God closes the door to force you forward, not to hurt you, but to evolve you. Some of the greatest breakthroughs you will ever receive will come disguised as closed doors, because a closed door is often the first step to a new beginning. God is not restricting you, He is redirecting you. There is a path He wants you to take, a timing He wants you to follow, a blessing He wants you to receive. And if the door you were attached to stayed open, you would never move. You would settle. You would remain comfortable. You would lock yourself inside a room too small for the destiny God created for you. Closed doors build trust. They force why? To walk by faith, not by sight. They push you into territories where your comfort cannot follow. And that's exactly what God wants. Movement, growth, stretching, becoming. Some closed doors hurt, but some open doors heal. And you must trust that the one who sees the future knows exactly what He is doing in the present. You only see the moment, but God sees the lifetime. You see the ending, but God sees the beginning. You see the loss, but God sees the shift. Closed doors redirect your steps. They reroute your journey. They push you toward opportunities that align with your calling rather than your comfort. What you thought was a delay was actually God clearing your path. What you thought was betrayal was God's way of protecting your heart. What you thought was failure was God closing off a chapter that could not carry you into your destiny. And one day, you will thank God for every door that didn't open. You will thank Him for every answer that didn't come. You will thank Him for every season that ended before you were ready. Because when you finally reach the place God is taking you, you will understand why certain doors had to close. You will understand why you had to walk away from people who couldn't grow with you. You will understand why God didn't allow certain opportunities to distract you. You will understand why you had to outgrow certain environments, certain relationships, certain versions of yourself. You will look back and realize that if those doors had stayed open, you would have missed the door that was truly yours. Closed doors are not signs that God is done. They are signs that God is preparing something better. And when the right door opens, the door God designed specifically for your life, your gifts, your future, your purpose, you will suddenly understand the beauty in the closed ones. What hurt you then will bless you now, will disappoint. Ted you then will elevate you now. What felt like loss will reveal itself as divine preparation. Because every closed door is God redirecting you toward a place your future will thank Him for. There are seasons when God seems quiet, almost distant, almost hidden behind the circumstances you're trying to understand. You pray and it feels like the heavens are silent. You seek answers and nothing seems to move. You look for signs and everything looks the same. And in those moments, you start to wonder if God forgot about you, if He changed His mind, if He stopped working on your behalf. But what you don't realize is that God does His greatest work in silence, when you cannot see it, when you cannot feel it, when you cannot trace it. That is often when God is orchestrating the biggest shift of your life. The silence isn't absence, it's preparation, it's strategy, it's movement you don't recognize yet. God works behind the scenes because He knows you're not ready to see the full picture. He knows that if He revealed everything too soon, you might rush it, sabotage it, doubt it, or run from it. So He hides the process to protect the promise. And just because you don't hear anything doesn't mean nothing is happening. Some of the most powerful breakthroughs in your life are being built in moments where everything feels still. You're being shaped in quiet places. Your character is being refined when nobody is watching. Your endurance is being strengthened while you think nothing is changing. God uses silence to mature you, to deepen you, to clarify your purpose. What you call waiting, God calls working. There's a reason seeds grow underground. Growth starts in dark places. Transformation starts where no one can see. Before a plant breaks the surface, it's expanding, pushing, developing roots silently. And in the same way, before your breakthrough becomes visible, God is. establishing roots in your life that will hold the weight of your future. If he showed you the blessing without building the foundation, you would collapse under the pressure of what you prayed for. Silence is not punishment. It is preparation. God is working in you just as much as he is working for you. But silence feels uncomfortable because we equate noise with progress. We want signs. We want confirmations. We want movement. We want God to show us something so we don't feel stuck. Yet God specializes in silent construction. He builds opportunities in rooms your name has not even entered yet. He arranges connections you didn't even know you needed. He aligns hearts, schedules, timing, and circumstances in ways you could never plan on your own. And he does it quietly because divine strategy does not need an audience. God is so meticulous that he will rearrange things months, even years in advance, just to make sure you arrive at the right place at the right time. When God is silent, he is not ignoring you, he is developing you. He is teaching you how to walk by faith and not by feelings, because feelings fluctuate, but faith holds you steady. If God responded instantly every time, you would never grow roots. You would never mature past your emotions. You would never learn to trust him beyond what you see. It is in silence that your faith develops its muscle. It is in silence that your trust becomes deeper than your understanding. It is in silence that you learn God is faithful even when you don't hear his voice. Think about how many times in your life you only realized God was working after everything fell into place. Think about the moments when suddenly everything aligned. Think about the opportunities that arrived out of nowhere. Think about the blessings that came when you least expected them. That wasn't random. That was the silent work of God. You didn't hear the conversation he placed your name in. You didn't see the heart he softened on your behalf. You didn't witness the door he unlocked while you were sleeping. God moves in silence because the enemy cannot intercept what he cannot hear. Your blessing is being protected by quietness. And sometimes the silence is God removing things that cannot go with you into your next chapter. He's pulling away distractions you didn't even recognize as distractions. He's closing doors you didn't know were dangerous. He's disconnecting you from people who would have held you back. He's shutting down opportunities that look good but would have destroyed your focus. You see it as loss. He sees it as alignment. You feel the emptiness. He is making space. Silence is the sound of God clearing your path. You may feel overlooked. You may feel forgotten. You may feel invisible. But listen closely. Sometimes God hides you to protect you. Sometimes he keeps you in the background to heal you. Sometimes he pulls you away from the noise so he can shape your identity without interference. He's working on your character, your discipline, your patience, your resilience. He's strengthening your spirit so you will not crumble when the blessing becomes heavy. He's developing the version of you that will walk confidently through the doors he is preparing. You don't have to see God working to trust that he is. You don't have to understand the process to know the outcome will be good. And you don't have to feel movement to believe that something is shifting. Silence is not the end. It is the in-between. It is the sacred space where God writes the next chapter of your story. And when he finally reveals what he's been preparing, you will look back and realize that the silence was not wasted. It was necessary. It was intentional. It was holy. And everything he did in secret will manifest at the correct time in the perfect way for the perfect purpose he designed for your life. There are moments in life when everything feels slow, delayed, postponed, stretched out longer than you ever imagined. You pray and the answer doesn't come. You try and the results don't show. You plan and nothing goes the way you expected. And in those moments, delay begins to whisper in your ear. It says, maybe it's not going to happen. Maybe you misunderstood God. Maybe you don't deserve it. Maybe you're stuck forever. Delay has a way of making you question everything. Your faith, your decisions, your purpose, even your worth. But what you need to understand deep in your spirit is that delay is not defeat. Delay is not denial. Delay is preparation disguised as waiting. It is God placing you in a holding pattern, not to punish you, but to position you. Delay is one of the greatest teachers you will ever have. It teaches patience. It teaches humility. It teaches trust. It teaches surrender. It teaches you how to lean on God when you can't lean on your timing. It teaches you how to stay focused when you don't see progress. Because real faith is not proven when things happen quickly. Real faith is proven when things take longer than you expected and you still refuse to give up. When you still choose to believe. When you still choose to hope. When you still choose to move forward, even if it's slow and uncomfortable. Sometimes God delays things because he is developing the strength you will need once the door opens. Blessings carry weight. Opportunities carry responsibility. Elevation comes with pressure, and God will not give you something that will break you. He delays the blessing to build the version of you that can handle the blessing. While you are praying for acceleration, God is preparing your character. While you are praying for speed, God is developing your stability. While you are asking for now, God is saying, you're not ready yet, but you will be. That is not rejection. That is love. God's delay protects you from entering a season you are not fully equipped for. Delay also reveals what you truly want. If something comes too quickly, you may not value it. But when you wait, when you cry, when you keep trying, when you push through disappointment, it makes the blessing sweeter. It makes the breakthrough meaningful. Delay separates the temporary desires from the real desires. It shows you whether you want something because it looks good or because it aligns with God's purpose for your life. Delay exposes the motives of your heart and strengthens the foundation of your faith. If everything came instantly, you wouldn't learn to persevere. You wouldn't learn to trust. You wouldn't learn to stand strong when storms hit. There are divine reasons behind every delay. Sometimes God is working on people connected to your blessing, preparing their hearts, aligning their decisions, softening their attitudes. Sometimes he's shifting circumstances you don't even know exist. Sometimes he's breaking barriers behind the scenes that would have blocked your progress. And sometimes he is simply waiting for the appointed time, the moment when everything lines up exactly the way it needs to. God is not rushed by your clock. He is not stressed by your deadlines. He is not pressured by your impatience. His timing is intentional, perfect, and deeply connected to your destiny. Delay can be frustrating, but it can also be holy. It's in the delay that God does the intimate work, the healing, the pruning, the maturing, the realigning. Delay is where God detoxes your mind from fear, your heart from past hurts, and your spirit from the wounds of old seasons. Delay forces you to face the things you would never deal with if everything came quickly. It strips away your dependence on people and strengthens your dependence on God. It teaches you how to stand still, how to be faithful, how to endure without complaining. It teaches you how to worship when you don't get what you want. It teaches you how to praise when nothing changes. It teaches you how to trust even when time feels like your enemy. Delay never diminishes what God has planned. What God promised you cannot be canceled by time. The blessing may take longer, but it will not be smaller. The break. Fruff may be delayed, but it will not be denied. What is meant for you is still meant for you. What God has written for your life will not be erased because of slow seasons. Delay is only a pause, not a period. It is a moment where God is strengthening your foundation so that when the blessing comes, you won't just receive it, you'll sustain it. And when the delay finally ends, when the blessing arrives, when the door opens wide, you will see why God made you wait. You will see how the pain shaped you. You will see how the silence matured you. You will see how the waiting deepened you. You will understand that if the blessing had arrived earlier, you wouldn't have appreciated it. You wouldn't have been ready for it. You wouldn't have been strong enough to hold it. But now you have perspective, endurance, resilience, wisdom, and faith that can handle the weight of what's coming. Delay is not defeat. It is the proving ground of destiny. And when God decides it is your time, no delay can stop what he has prepared. You will step into it fully, confidently, completely, because the wait was part of the making. There comes a point in your life when God requires you to release what you've been holding on to so tightly, because the things you cling to can become the very things that limit you. Letting go is not easy. It is one of the hardest spiritual disciplines you will ever face, because letting go means surrendering control. And surrendering control means trusting God with parts of your story that you would rather manage yourself. Letting go means loosening your grip on what feels familiar, safe, predictable, even if it has been hurting you, draining you, restricting you for years. Letting go means stepping out of the comfort of what you know and into the uncertainty of what God is preparing. And that transition, that unknown space, is where fear tries to speak the loudest. But God cannot fill hands that are already full. He cannot open new doors while you're still knocking on old ones. He cannot give you the next chapter while you're still mourning the last. And many people stay stuck, not because God hasn't provided the path, but because they refuse to release what no longer belongs in their lives. You can't receive what's coming if you're chained to what's gone. Sometimes you're praying for breakthrough, but God is waiting for you to let go of the things that keep blocking Him. Letting go of old relationships that stunt your growth. Letting go of habits that weaken your spirit. Letting go of memories that keep you tied to past pain. Letting go of opportunities that weren't meant for your destiny. Letting go of the idea of how you thought your life should look by now. Letting go is not losing. Letting go is alignment. It is agreeing with God's plan even when you don't understand it. It is realizing that you cannot carry everything and still move forward. It is understanding that every release creates room for something greater, but the human heart gets attached to people, to dreams, to seasons, to versions of ourselves that no longer fit the direction God is calling us. We hold on to things because they feel familiar. We hold on to things because they make us feel in control. We hold on to things because we fear the unknown. But you cannot walk into the new with hands full of the old. Letting go requires courage. It requires faith. It requires the strength to walk away from what is comfortable but no longer fruitful. And sometimes God will start shaking things, not to break you, but to break your attachments. He will allow discomfort in areas where you've grown too comfortable. He will remove peace from situations that aren't aligned with your purpose. He will close doors you keep trying to reopen. He will disrupt cycles you refuse to leave. Because God loves you too much to let you stay somewhere you were only meant to pass through. And you may not see it now, but there is freedom in letting go. There is peace in releasing what drains you. There is clarity waiting after you walk away from confusion. There is strength that rises when you stop forcing things that were never yours to carry. Sometimes you don't realize how heavy something was until you let it go. Sometimes you don't realize how much you compromised yourself until you step out of what was shrinking you. Sometimes you don't realize how much God wanted to bless you until you open your hands and allow Him to. Letting go is not about forgetting. It's not about pretending it didn't matter. It's about understanding that everything has a season. And some seasons expire long before we're ready to admit it. When God says a season is over, it's because He has something better in store. But the enemy wants to keep you tied to what is expired. He wants you rehearsing old memories, replaying old hurts, clinging to old expectations, staying trapped in places where growth is impossible. Because as long as you hold on to yesterday, you cannot step into tomorrow. Your destiny requires space. Your blessing requires openness. Your future requires freedom. There are things you're carrying that God never asked you to carry. Burdens from your past, fears about your future, pressure you put on yourself, pain you never allowed to heal, expectations from people who never understood your calling. And God is saying, release it. Not because He wants you empty, but because He wants you filled with the right things. Peace, strength, clarity, direction, purpose. What you release will make room for what He pours. Letting go is an act of trust. It's saying, God, I don't understand this, but I know You are good. It's saying, God, this hurts, but I trust your plan. It's saying, God, I'm scared, but I'm stepping out anyway. And every time you let go, God replaces what you lost with something stronger, something healthier, something aligned with your destiny, something that lifts you instead of breaking you, something that grows you instead of draining you. You may feel like if you let go, everything will fall apart. But what if letting go is the very thing that allows everything to fall into place? What if your peace is on the other side of release? What if your blessing is waiting on the other side of surrender? What if God has been holding your next door open, but he's waiting for you to stop trying to force the old one? Letting go is not the end of your story. It is often the chapter that leads to the greatest breakthrough of your life. And once you let go, once you breathe again, once you step into the space God has cleared for you, you will see that release was not loss. It was elevation. When God says he will open doors for you, it also means he will give you the strength to walk through them. And that is where many people hesitate. It's not the door that scares them. It's the unknown air that waits on the other side. You have prayed, you have waited, you have asked God for change. But when the moment approaches, when the opportunity stands in front of you like a hallway to a new future, something inside you begins to tremble. Not because you lack faith, but because you've been conditioned for so long to expect disappointment, to prepare for rejection, to brace yourself for things falling apart. So when God finally moves, you almost don't know how to move with him. You stand at the doorway like someone who has been locked in a dark room for years, shielding your eyes because the light feels unfamiliar. But hear me, just because the light feels strange does not mean it is dangerous. Just because the blessing feels bigger than what you're used to does not mean it doesn't belong to you. Sometimes the greatest challenge is not the attack of the enemy. Sometimes it's your own hesitation to believe that God is actually doing what he said he would do. So instead of stepping forward boldly, you pause, you analyze, you doubt. You replay all your past failures in your mind, and your feet freeze while your blessing waits. But God is saying in this moment, do not shrink back when I push you forward. Do not hide when I call you out. Do not fear the future I have prepared. Because the truth is, God doesn't open doors just to decorate your life. He opens them because he intends for you to pass through them. He intends for you to experience the fullness of what he promised. He intends for you to grow, to stretch, to rise, to become everything he planted inside you long before you even understood who you were. And yet so often you stay loyal to the season God is trying to deliver you from. And that loyalty becomes a weight. That weight becomes an anchor. That anchor becomes a delay. And God is standing on the other side of the open door, calling your name, waiting for you to take the step that changes everything. There will come a time when staying where you are hurts more than the fear of stepping into the unknown. A time when you feel a holy discomfort, a divine restlessness that pushes you out of the familiar, because the familiar can no longer carry the version of you God is shaping. And when that moment comes, you must recognize it. God does not always shout. Sometimes he shifts things subtly. He makes certain places feel too small. He makes certain relationships lose their grip. He makes certain routines feel empty, not because you failed, but because you grew. Not because he left, but because he is leading. And nothing grows while clinging to what used to be. So when God says he will open doors, he has not just given you a path. He has given you a transition, a transformation, a holy invitation to rise above everything that used to limit you. And yes, it may feel overwhelming. Yes, you may feel unprepared. Yes, you may feel like you're stepping into something bigger than your qualifications, your resources, or your confidence. But that's the point. If you could do it alone, it wouldn't require faith. If you could handle it all yourself, it wouldn't reflect God's hand. God does not open doors according to your comfort. He opens them according to your calling. He opens them according to your destiny. He opens them according to his perfect plan, not your timeline, not your fear, not your self-doubt. And sometimes he will open doors you didn't even pray for because he knows the desires you haven't yet learned to articulate. He knows the dreams buried under years of discouragement. He knows the potential you forgot you had because life taught you to settle. But God never designed you for settling. He designed you for purpose. He designed you for impact. He designed you to walk through doors that reveal who you really are in Him. So when that door swings open, and it will, you must make a decision. Will you stay where it's safe, or will you trust the God who has never abandoned you? Will you cling to the past, or will you step into the future He handcrafted for you? Will you let fear dictate your movement, or will you let faith lead the way? Because doors don't stay open forever. Opportunities don't circle back endlessly. There are moments in life where obedience is the difference between stagnation and elevation. And I'm telling you right now, God is not opening this door just for you to admire it. He is opening it so you can step into a season that reflects His glory, His favor, His goodness over your life. A season where you realize that everything you went through, everything you survived, everything that tried to break you but failed, it was all preparing you for this moment. You are not walking through this door as the same person you were in the last season. You are walking through it refined, strengthened, matured, wiser, deeper, more aware of who you are and who God is in you. And even if you walk through trembling, even if you walk through uncertain, even if you walk through with shaking hands and a pounding heart, walk through anyway. Because obedience is more powerful than confidence. Faith stronger than fear. And a step in God's direction will always take you farther than years of staying stuck. The door is open. The invitation is clear, and God is waiting on the other side, ready to take you further than you ever imagined. Comes a moment in your life when God begins to remind you that every step you have taken, every storm you have endured, every season that tried to break you was not wasted, because He has been shaping you, molding you, preparing you for a place you could not have handled before. And when God begins to bring you into that place, when He begins to elevate you into a season where doors open, opportunities rise, and favor surrounds you, there is something inside you that must shift. You cannot carry the same mindset into a new season and expect to thrive. You cannot walk into divine opportunity with old fears, old insecurities, old doubts clinging to your ankles. There comes a time when God requires you to release the weight of who you used to be so that you can embrace the version of you He has been crafting in the dark. But the challenge is that many people become so familiar with struggle that they don't know how to receive ease. They become so accustomed to fighting that they don't know how to accept favor. They become so used to waiting that they don't know how to respond when the answer arrives. And so even when God begins to move, even when the breakthrough starts unfolding, even when the blessing is right in front of them, they hesitate, not because God is unclear, but because their hearts are still healing from the seasons that wounded them. But hear me, just because you were hurt in the last season does not mean you should disable yourself in this one. Just because it didn't work before does not mean it won't work now. God is not repeating your past. He is redeeming your future. And redemption always demands participatio. It demands a shift in thinking. It demands a willingness to trust again, hope again, believe again, even when your heart remembers the times you were disappointed. There is a holy courage God wants to stir inside you, a courage that says, I will not sabotage my own breakthrough. I will not talk myself out of what God has promised me. I will not stay small when God has called me to stand tall. Because when God opens a door, He is not asking you to bring your fear. He is asking you to bring your faith. He is asking you to walk with conviction, even if you walk with trembling. He is asking you to trust the future He designed rather than the past that scarred you. He is asking you to lean into His strength instead of letting your memories weaken your momentum. And if you're going to step into this season fully, you must learn to silence the voices in your mind that tell you you're not good enough, strong enough, wise enough, or worthy enough. You must learn to shut down the echo of old failures that tries to convince you that your story is fixed. Your capacity is limited. Your path has already been stamped with defeat. Because God is rewriting things behind the scenes. God is restoring things you thought were permanently broken. God is reviving dreams you buried because you thought you missed your chance. But you didn't miss anything. God was timing everything. He was aligning the right people, the right opportunities, the right environment, the right season, so that when the door opened, you would be ready not only to enter it, but to sustain what He places in your hands. And sustaining a blessing requires internal strength, not external applause. It requires character, not comfort. It requires discipline, not excitement. And that is why God took you through the journey you lived. That is why He allowed certain things to fall apart, not to destroy you, but to teach you. That is why He closed certain doors you begged Him to open, not because He was punishing you, but because He saw what you couldn't see. He saw you needed a deeper foundation, a stronger spirit, a clearer mind. And now, after everything you went through, after all the tears, the prayers, the questions, the stretching, the refining, after all the moments where you felt forgotten, but God was shaping you in silence, now He says, walk forward, step through, don't hold back. Because this season requires a version of you that refuses to shrink. A version of you that refuses to doubt God's timing. A version of you that refuses to surrender to fear. Fear may speak, but faith must decide. Fear may whisper, but faith must move. Fear may remind you of the past, but faith calls you into the future, and you cannot answer both at the same time. If you're going to step fully into what God is opening, you must allow Him to renew your mind. You must allow Him to uproot the lies you believed about yourself. You must allow Him to guide your steps, to stretch your faith, to elevate your vision. Because this is not just a door, it is a destiny shift. It is not just an opportunity, it is a divine assignment. It is not just a blessing, it is the beginning of a chapter that carries weight, purpose, and impact. And you cannot enter a significant season with a shrinking mindset. Lift your head, square your shoulders, remind yourself that if God brought you to it, God will see you through it. You are not stepping into this season alone. You are stepping with the one who has been faithful through every moment of your life. And as you move forward, something inside you will begin to awaken, a confidence not rooted in pride, but in divine assurance. A peace not dependent on circumstances, but anchored in God's sovereignty. A strength not fueled by human effort, but by spiritual alignment. And when you feel that, when you sense that shift rising inside you, you will know this is the moment you stop living like a prisoner of the past and start walking like the heir of a promise.